welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight we are joined with award-winning author L.J. Evans. Woo! Yay!
Hi.
My cheer button's not working now. Okay, woo! Yay! Yay! There we go. There we go. Apparently, there we go. Yay! There we go. So how are you? How are you this evening, LJ?
I'm really good. Everything's great. I'm on the West Coast, so it's still sunny and bright here.
Nice. Well, that's about. The sun's still up here as well, so we're not too bad. We do a 20-minute podcast, so I'm going to start our timer. There that goes. If we go over, it's okay. There's no harm. Well done. I want to start off tonight with beginnings. I think for an understanding for you, when you began, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, you started writing fan fiction before it was fan fiction. Now, I want to hear about that. Tell me how that came about.
Well, I've been writing since I was a little girl, and I'm old, so it's been a long time. And my sister and I used to write together. We would, as kids, we would kind of bounce off each other. But my first full-length story when I was in sixth grade was a fan fiction where I married the guy from Dukes of Hazzard, so John Schneider.
Okay.
I don't know if you know.
Yes,
any of
I'm aware.
him.
I'm aware. Now, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. Before you get too far, let me recap that. Is John Snyder the blonde or the brunette? Can't remember.
He's the blonde.
The blonde. Okay. Because I have to tell you, and I can't remember the other guy's name, so God forgive me. But when I was young, I actually got sent away for his picture, and he signed it. The brunette, not John Snyder. So yeah. So I have my moments. I get you.
Yeah. So, he fell in love with me, married me. It was a full-length novel. It was like 100 on notebooks because you didn't have computers, so it was like 150 notebook pages, little tiny dinky writing. And yeah, so I've been writing romance most of my life, and it began that way. I read a lot of Barbara Cartland novels, which is historical romance. So, my next novel, I was writing stuff that was similar to hers, very fan fiction. But we didn't have that name. We didn't call it that, right? We were just copying the things we loved.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
Fan fiction, that seems to be, I don't know. I wish I should have done some research on that to actually figure out when it actually started to be named fan fiction, because that would be a very interesting topic to dive deeper into.
Oh, it totally would.
All right. We should do that. We'll program another show for you and I, and we'll just talk about fan fiction. There you go.
I feel like it was the advent of Wattpad and stuff,
Yeah.
those stories that were being created on that platform.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting to look it up and really go in depth on it. So tell me about my life as a country album. And I have to tell you that I titled that for our title on Wisdom on the app today. It's My Life as a Country Album Romance Author, L.J. Evans. So I wanted to put that into the title of the room. So tell me.
That's so much fun.
So, now, okay. It goes right into a whole series, right? Because it's not just My Life as a Country Album. You went into My Life as a pop singer. Correct me if I'm wrong. And
they're all albums. So
Okay.
it's the My Life as an Album series. So it's My Life as a pop album, My Life as a rock album, and then My Life as a mixtape.
Okay.
So yeah,
This kind of dates us. You know that, right?
it does. I know.
So tell
Because
me.
of the album, right?
Right. Well, the mixtape for me especially. Tell me how that came about, the first book, which I believe is the country album, yes?
Country album's the first book.
Okay.
So I had been playing around with a lot of different writing types. Once out of college, I kind of, I was in my career mode, and then I got married, I had a child. I was really focused on other things. When I got back into writing, I started doing a lot of screenplays and trying to get those kind of out there in the world, and had some minor success with that. And then kind of put it aside again, and hadn't really found my feet and my voice. And I started reading a lot of the original romance indie authors like Colleen Hoover, Amy Harmon, Jessica Tark. And I was like, this is my voice. This is the stories I want to tell, like these romance stories, these deep, like, people that are overcoming things. So I had kind of in my head where I wanted to go. But then what really made the difference for me was our child and I were getting ready to go to a Taylor Swift concert. And so long ago, it was her Red Tour. Okay, so a long time ago. And we were listening to all her songs up until then. Like, we had them all mixed on a mixtape and listening to them on CDs in the car, on the car changer, the CD changer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were on random, and Oh My, Mary song came on. And if you know that song by Taylor Swift, it's about these two little kids, and they grow up together, and they're, on the porch together, and their parents are watching them grow up saying, hey, they're going to get married one day, the dads, and the moms are like, shut up, don't say that. And just talking about growing up, in the porch and on the street and playing in the creek. And I saw these two little characters, their names, everything came into my head. And I'm like, this is Jake, this is Cam, this is their parents, this is the street they're playing on. And I saw this whole scene and like how they were starting to grow up. And then every time the changer switched to the new song, like I was getting a new scene and the next part of their life story. And I sat down and started writing that story. I think I wrote it in like 4 weeks. This is, way back 2013, 2014. And I loved it. Like I was bawling in the middle of it. It was just everything I wanted to write. And I just didn't have the guts to do anything with it. Like I was following all those amazing indie authors that were breaking through, starting this amazing world of indie authors for us, that I just didn't have the guts to push the button. So I would like open it up, look at it, read it, say how much I loved it, and then I would put it away again, shut off the computer. And then a few months later, I'd pick it up and go, God, I love this. And I sent it out to a few people, like a few agents and stuff. And I wasn't doing much with it because I just didn't have a lot of confidence myself in what I was doing. And my sister, I sent it to my sister, and I was in the airport with my daughter and my husband. We were coming back from a meet that our child had gone to, a gymnastics meet, and we were in the middle of the security line. And my sister calls me sobbing, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Your book is beautiful." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And from that point forward, she would not let me stop. She like was constantly, you've got to publish this, you've got to publish this. So I did. Like I just pulled the trigger. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I literally had an editor, put it out there, hit publish, and ran with it. So from the time I finished it till the time I published it in 2017, it was like 3.5 years. And I just sat around with it. And then once I hit publish, I didn't know what to do with it because I hadn't really done my homework. I hadn't figured out how to get your books out and market them and do the due diligence you need to do. So it was a struggle to like get noticed and even seen. But then I had random people who didn't know me who were contacting me and just telling me how much the book had meant to them, and that they'd had family with similar situations, and the things that happened in the book had happened to them, and it was just really moving. And so they encouraged me to keep going, and that's how the rest of the series kind of came to play. I started writing about the siblings and the other characters that were in the stories, and that's how we got here today.
Nice. Now,
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. Did I hear you say before you wrote this book, you wrote some screenplays that were successful?
Yeah, not successful in the sense that anybody bought them. I had gotten a lot of looks. So I had a lot of people. I was sending them out to, queries out to production people and entering some contests and getting some little bit of notice and people who were asking them to see them, but I never got anybody optioning them.
Okay.
So they never, became anything.
I
But
know, but how ecstatic that people were actually reaching out to you for them. I mean, that is very exciting in itself.
yeah, it was really fun, and at the time I was like thinking that's the route I was going to go. And, um, but then this story took me in a different direction. So,
Right. Now, before you started writing,
mhm.
you were a first grade teacher?
Yeah, I've had several different careers, but the last career I had was a teacher, and I taught first grade, and I taught first grade up until 20. My last class was 2020. We finished on online learning in 2020, and yeah, so I was a first grade teacher for about 15 years and loved
Nice.
it. Yeah, first
Nice.
grade is the best grade to teach.
Oh, yes. They're so cute. You know, they just are. They're so cute. Um,
Well, and you get to teach reading and writing, and those are the
yes.
things that I love, and getting them excited about it was a blast.
Yeah, every time I think of that age bracket, I don't know why, but I always think of Harry Potter. How when they first went into the first they went into the, you know what I mean, the wizards, and they were so tiny, and as they
Yeah,
progressed, you know what I mean. I mean, like, I know they were probably older than first grade, but that's what they remind me of.
yeah, little things.
Yeah, little, just little. I don't know. I guess I'm just getting old enough where I appreciate those little things. um, so as of January 12th, 22, you released Tripped by Love. And I'll be honest with you, it has burrowed into many hearts of readers. Just saying, just being blunt there.
Oh,
Um, so I want to tell us how you're able to ignite the hearts of your readers in such a way. I mean, come on, because it's only been out since January, and your reviews on it are abundant. You know, I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't see any negative. So tell me how
oh.
you're able to do that. Tell me how you're enabled to ignite so many hearts of your readers.
Um, I wish I had an easy answer for you. I just think, I write with heart, I guess. When I'm writing, my heart is part of those stories, and I those characters are part of my life. I was joking with my husband the other day. Everywhere we go, I'm like, "Oh, look, there's a Coast Guard truck. I wonder if, Eli and Chuck would be on duty." And he's like, "What are you talking about? Those are your characters. They're not real people in your life." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. They're not. They wouldn't be on duty because they're not real."
So
So
you would say your gift to it is that you really see your characters as real. You break them down as if they're your everyday acquaintances.
I do. I feel like they're my friends. I want them to be your friends when you read
Oh,
them. I want them to be people that you would want in your life, you know. And that's important to me. I love watching people around me and in books who like are find these hardships and how they kind of are resilient and get through them,
mm-hmm.
and put them make them part of themselves and just get better and grow. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but
No, it makes
for
perfect
me it's
sense.
just, yeah,
It makes perfect
just seeing
sense.
them as real human beings.
Right. I know. Well, I get that. But if you're making when you do their workups and their bios, you have to really. I mean, don't you? I mean, because how else are you going to develop the character enough for your readers to relate to them and feel for them and put themselves in their character's shoes? I mean, that is the real test. I mean, I can't tell you how many books I've yelled at like, why, why? And it's because I get so involved in the character. You know what I mean? It really pulls you in, and you're just like, and that's even if you hate the way the book goes, and not where it pulls you in that much, where you're that engaged, that is an incredible writer. Even if you hate the character and you're like, why? Why is she doing this? You know, that's still an incredible writer. It really
Oh,
is.
absolutely. Yes. It's like, um, it's easy to, there have been books that I don't like.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I hate what happened in this story.
Yes.
But the writing is so amazing that it moved me to feel that strongly, right, about it.
Hmm.
So, um, even the books that sometimes you walk away with, and I'm like, I'm never reading that book
And
again.
I've reread them. I swear to God, I have. We'll go back because I love the emotion. I love the how much they stir me. I'm just like, oh, you want to love to hate them, but then you're like, man, you know what? I really need to get back into that book again. So yes, I
Right?
know what you're saying. Um,
Yeah, it's so true.
with your work, Hard on Our Minds, tell us about the multiple books shaping around Ella, as well as her pals, I believe, Mac and Truck, in the Anchor novel series, which I believe is six in total, if I'm correct.
So the Anchor novels have 6 books in them. Absolutely. That's Ava and Eli are the main characters in Guarded Dreams, which is the first book. And there's 6 books in that series, and then they have a spin-off of 3 Anchor suspense novels. So if you include those, there's 9. Um, the last book, Tricked by Love, which you were just talking about, it is actually 2 of the side characters in there have spun off my next series, which will release in 2023. But so like it's this world that keeps growing, right?
Nice.
Ava and Eli were supposed to be a standalone book. So Guarded Dreams was supposed to be like a one done, thank you, just get out there. Everybody was like, you need to do a couple standalones because not everybody wants to invest in a series when they're reading, which is totally true. Um, and so I was like, I'm just gonna write a standalone. But the problem is when I write, I I love all side characters too, right? So all my side characters typically have backgrounds and lives, and they're bringing stuff to the page. So when I wrote Ava and Eli's story, his 2 best friends are Mac Track. That's their nickname is Mac Track, and it's Mac and Travis, but they call him Track.
Okay.
And so um, once I wrote those, of course, everybody wanted Mac and Truck stories. I wanted Mac and Truck stories. So it just kind of snowballed. And then every story I wrote after that, there were more side characters that needed their own story. So
So,
that's how it became 6.
well, I know I actually love how devoted you are to it. I mean, that's incredibly amount of buildup for surrounding characters and even taking them even farther into their own books. I mean, that is an incredible amount of dedication. So as we're
Oh.
there's a delay there. I get that and I was like so since we're talking about Ella, I hear that there is a similarity between you and Ella's mom, Mandy.
Yeah, it's Ava, but
Ava.
uh, her mom and I, yeah, there is a lot of similarities in the sense that we're both book lovers, um, and and we're you know both older women. I don't know. I There is definitely pieces of Mandy in me that you would see on the screen if you but some of the issues that Mandy has had I haven't had, so
Okay.
um but definitely lots of similarities between her. I think the character of mine that's probably most like me, especially at the age that she is in the book, is Mia from My Life as a Pop Album.
Okay.
And in that story she's very she's young in some ways, she's innocent in some ways, but then even though she's just graduated from college, she's got this whole business plan and she's a go-getter, but then there's this side of her, especially from a relationship perspective, that's kind of not backwards, but a lot younger than maybe her age is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like mm, if you look at me when I was Mia's age, I was probably very much like her. So that's probably the character that's most like me.
Right. Hi. Actually, we just had someone come in the room and they're asking what we're talking about. We're actually talking with L.J. Evans, who is a romance author. Gabby, if I'm pronouncing your name correct there. So let's talk a little bit on the covers. So I see that you have a new book coming out in September, which you say the title and cover are coming soon. So let's talk about
Yeah.
cover design. How much control? What do you do? Where do you go? Tell me about that.
So my the cover designer for all the books that are actually published right now is Megan Keith, and she owns Designed with Grace, and she's in Australia. And she designed all of those covers for me that are on my published stories. And luckily, she is an amazing person to work with. She's just a nice human being. We've become really good friends since I first found her, and she actually started like beta reading for me and doing other things because we became friends. And she had a really strong belief in my stories, so it was very much collaborative. I would send her ideas and she would come up with something, and then we'd move there and back and forth, and she would tell me, no, don't do that, or yes, let's go in that direction. But it was very much collaborative, so I really appreciated working with her over all of my stories.
Well,
I
they
just picked up
go ahead. Go ahead.
I just got picked up by a different publisher, so my September release is with a new designer, so I'm a little nervous. She does amazing work, what I've seen of her book covers. So I just don't know what it's going to look like yet, and I don't know what the process will be like. It's kind of going third hand through um, my publisher a little bit back and forth, so we'll see. I don't have it yet.
Gotcha.
I
So,
did lots of mood boards for it though. So
ah,
like Pinterest boards, and like on the stock photo sites, I'd throw like images into, shared files that they could see, and lots of mood board telling them like setting and where is it and what are the characters like and those kind of things.
right. So you're saying you got picked up with a publisher company for for this next coming book. So are the majority of your books indie or press or small press?
They're all indie published
Okay.
up until now, and then the new publisher is also a small indie press.
Okay.
So they're picking me up, and they're actually going to take all my novels, and they're going to convert them over to their platform as well. So
Nice. Nice. That
yeah,
can be really scary and exciting at the same time, I would imagine.
scary and exciting, but the piece of the indie business that's really hard is the marketing piece.
Yes, I'm aware.
Advertising, marketing, and
I am
I've
aware.
been
I've
at it for 5 years and not very good at it. It's just not my skill set.
yeah, I
So I've taken the classes, I've gotten lots of help. It's just not my thing. So I'm very excited because the company I'm with is really good at that.
right.
And so, hopefully they'll be able to do something more than I've been able to do.
Right. It is a lot of work. People don't understand everything because I have published 12 books myself and I am an indie author. But so it is a lot of work. Cover for everything from the cover, formatting, everything. It is a lot of work. Can't talk now. A lot of work. So I commend you for how much you've done. So for my last question of the evening, I've saved this one for the last. So Cherry and the Cherry Blossom, a Writer's Digest self-published ebook romance of the year for 2021. So
Yeah.
walk us through the path the book took and what exactly happened when you got that call telling you you won such an honor.
Yeah. So Charming and the Cherry Blossoms started with another Taylor Swift song.
Okay.
Um, I was listening to her on her Lover album, one of her new songs, and the whole scene just like popped into my head. And I was supposed to be working on the next book in the Anchor suspense novels, and it was It was the end of 2020. We had all been through so much, and I just decided to open a page and just start writing what came to me. And that's exactly what happened with Charming and the Cherry Blossom. That's how Ella and Hudson's story to be. It was from a scene that I got when I was listening to the Taylor song, and this girl kind of dancing in a ballroom that was empty in a big mansion or a big castle, and the guy that she falls in love with kind of walked in, and she was in her pajamas twirling on this parquet floor, and he just kind of walked in and watched her for a while, and then strode up and took her in his arms, and started dancing with her too. And that is actually the scene that started the whole story. And from there I just did what I had done with Country Album, which was I didn't plan it at all. I didn't even plan the characters out. I just wrote. And I wrote and wrote and wrote, and it shifted the story as it went along, and it came out really easily, just like Country Album did, and um, brought me a lot of joy because Elle is just very nature loving, and she has a lot of hardship in her life, but she herself is very joyful in that. Even when she's alone, she's still kind of not a lonely person, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so yeah, so I was the story came out very quickly. I was very excited about it, and very proud of the work that I put into it, and creating this fairy tale that is not a retelling at all, but has kind of all of those components of the fairy tales that you loved as a little girl. The castles and the ball, and the hero who's very protective and just kind of steps in to keep her safe from bullying, and these mean cousins who are trying to take it away from her, and it just has all these little aspects but aren't telling it all. It's just its own little story. So
Wonderful.
I wanted to get it out to some contests to see if it would how it would do. And so I entered it into the Writer's Digest one, and they chose it for the romance of the year for them. And it just, when I found out, I screamed. I was like, oh my gosh. As an indie author, as
Yes.
it's hard to find validation, especially there are so many amazing, incredibly talented people in the indie field whose books are never read because marketing is hard and it costs money and so many different things. And so we don't always get the validation that you might as a traditionally published author, because we end up validating ourselves on sales and reviews a lot of times. And it's hard to get those. So you may have this amazing book that has 5 reviews and sold 20 copies, and so for me, like, it was amazing just to get that validation from a different source that saw the book, saw what I did with the book, and thought it was worthy of their award. So it was a humbling and gratifying moment.
Right. I fully understand that. Well, let me tell you, you are worthy of such honors. You are. You are a great writer. I peeked into each of the books, and you are delightful. You really are.
Oh,
And if my
oh,
platform has anything to do with anything, that I hope that it is in a way for authors to be able to feel that they are appreciated for the grand works they do, as in your case. So I want to thank you so much, LJ, for being on my program tonight. I want to thank our listeners. Every night that you're with us, it is so great that you come in and you contribute in such a way. Thank you again, LJ. Thank you again, all our audience, and we'll see you next Thursday.